I would like to introduce Mr. David Lindsay. He is our fearless film producer and writer, script writer.
That's correct.
And yes, a wonderfully open mind and highly talented person.
Not sure about that.
Jury's still out. Tell us a little bit about the film.
Okay, well, the film is the story of David and Goliath told in modern times. It's about a foster mom who takes in these two young boys, David and his younger brother Levi. And little do they know that she's an actual abusive mother. She plays the role of Goliath in their lives. And she is, I would say evil would be kind of an understatement. We had a discussion about evil, and she is more so entitled. You know, she feels that she is above everyone else. The rules don't apply to her. And that's how she runs her house. And thankfully, if you've seen the story of David and Goliath, you know that thankfully, spoiler alert, that doesn't bode too well for her in the long run. But it's a great story, I think it is, of course. But I think it's going to be something that people really want to see. And I think it's going to affect the world because things like this aren't shown nowadays. You don't see this level of, you don't see a lot of films about abuse and domestic violence as far as parent to child. I think it's something that we need, something that needs to be seen. So
I'm going to ask you an impromptu question based on this. No, it's okay. It's okay. It's okay. Deep breath. What spurred you to write this particular story?
I would say it's funny because this story was more so, because this is of course one of multiple stories. I was prompted to write the stories of the Bible in modern times. And all the stories that I'm actually currently writing are stories of the Bible. And before I got to this particular story, I had the story of David and Goliath, and I prayed about it. And I said, hey, you know, God, what would best take this story and bring it to date, bring it modernize it? And this is the idea you put in my brain. The idea of maybe someone who's a child, of course, since we don't have too many giants that are playing the NBA, right? Nowadays, most of them have, you know, pretty good basketball, but we still have huge problems in our lives. You know, we still have things that we face. It's not necessarily a person that's a giant, it's a situation that's a giant. So for David and Levi, their giant was his foster mom that took them, and her abuse was almost absolute, and it was threatening to them, and it just fit. Like I said, I always laugh and joke and say that, you know, these stories didn't come from me because, you know, that's not something I ever could credit myself with. They came from a much better place, and this is one of many. So,
very good. Okay, thank you for answering that off the cuff.
Let's see how many more give me.
Talk to me about what it was like to work with the cast.
This was probably my favorite part, working with the cast, because I was really, really blessed to have a cast of people that were not only talented, they were punctual, which from a producer standpoint, that is one of the biggest things. If you can have somebody that's super talented, I always use this adage, you know, LeBron James, best basketball player in the world to me, of course. But if he doesn't show up to the games, we'll get it. All right, so I had a cast that showed up that were great to work with. They were kind, they were open, and they gave great feedback. And for me as a producer, someone that gives great feedback to me is the perfect person. You know, because I always say I write the foundation of the film, and the actors take it on themselves to make these characters real. So it was a great, great, great experience. And I'm praying that the rest of my film, I can't use the same actors over and over again, it won't look right, but I'm praying the rest of my films are as smooth as this one was.
Well, you just have to hire the same cast.
I do. Cut the hair differently and everything.
Shameless plug. What would you like for people who see this film to take away from it?
I would like for people to understand, and one of the reasons I wrote this is to understand the miracles still happen. They happen every day. They may not be the same as God parting the Red Sea, but for a child that's been abused, or someone that's suffering from PTSD, the miracle is being taken or getting past that situation, you know, or making it through. That's a miracle in itself. And there's times that, you know, we're driving down the road and get stopped at a red light or miss a light. You never know what could have been on the other side of that light, you know. So I want people to understand that this brings the same miracles that you saw back in the day. Well, the series is to bring them to life now, so we don't forget that. Because I think we get so busy and wrapped up in our lives that we think miracles don't happen. God isn't here every day, but He is. If we sit down and think about in our life, how many times He has blessed us, you see miracles happen all the time. So that's what I want people to take away from it.
Excellent. And how did you kind of answered this earlier, maybe I should ask it a different way. The question is, how did you come up with the concept of the movie? But I think...
You'll rattle on too much.
No. I think I'd rather ask, what would you like to see... How would you like to see this message move forward?
Okay. That's a good question. Wow. Like, where would I like to, how far would I like to go? Where to go? Who do you think?
Well, I think your comments earlier about how you've tried to make it relevant and how you've tried to make it timely, I think will open up conversations.
True.
What would you like?
Gotcha.
What would you like for those to result in?
That's a great question. So, funny how God works. When I started writing this, I wrote this a long time ago. There was a period of time when I kind of put this on the shelf, and I started working more so on that exact thing. What would I like to come from this, right? Not necessarily for it to be this great big blockbuster hit, but what is the truth that I'd like to come from this? And it's so funny because me growing up, I love superheroes, right? I love Superman, I love Spider-Man, and Wonder Woman, of course, right? Great movie. But I love that, and when I was a kid that was, doing kung fu and shooting space aliens, in the grocery store, right? That was me. I was that kid that you almost hit with your basket, right? But I believe in heroes, and I believe that heroes still exist. And what I want from this is I want for more heroes to actually come from this. And it's so great that you asked that because there is a partnership between this and conferences that we want to work on and create for this. And their theme is being a hero. And being a hero means that you actually take action because everyone's a hero. My dad was a fireman for 35 years. Those are our Batman, those are our Superman, our police officers, our soldiers, and then people that every day make the decision to stand up for what's right. That is a hero. And my whole goal for this is to make people say, hey, I see this going on and I know that it's real, so I need to stand up and do something about it. I'm not just going to turn my head and look the other direction, stick my head and stand. I want to actually stand up, and I feel empowered to stand up and say, hey, this is wrong. I need to do something about it. Because for a child that's going through this, that's all it takes. You're the greatest hero. You're better than Superman. You're better than Batman. You're better than everything for that person, for that child. So that is what I wanted to take away from this.
Best answer ever.